So it's that time where Apple made their keynote and announced some of their new products, one being the iPhone 7, and here are my thoughts. So just as we had all probably seen online, the rumoured iPhone leaks were true, and it was honestly no surprise in terms of looks and specs. The one thing that did catch me out, however, was the dual speakers. As you may have guessed, we have the iPhone 7, and then we've got the iPhone 7 Plus. In terms of design, the phone is very similar to its predecessor, the iPhone 6. However, even though the body is almost identical, there have been some noticeable changes made. The phone now has two new colours, black and jet black. Black is just a standard matte black finish that we are used to seeing, and jet black is a high gloss black finish, making it look very shiny, almost similar to the iPhone 4. I personally really like jet black as it's a little different, looks elegant, and it almost makes the standard black a little bit tame in comparison. You may have also realised that space grey is out of the picture, and this is where both black variants will take over. The antennas have been shaped around the phone so it no longer covers the back where it used to, hence leaving a long noticeable strip on the iPhone 6. Instead it covers around the top and the bottom of the phone. The antennas have now been made a lot more subtle as well, as they are embedded in the enclosure. Unfortunately though, on gold and rose gold, the antennas are fairly obvious. The home button has also been reimagined. Instead of being mechanical, it is now a non-moving button. People may be wondering that it won't feel responsive enough, however Apple have covered this with their Taptic engine, which they assure will give you enough feedback and reassurance that you have pressed the button. The reason for the redesign was to make sure that the iPhone 7 could be IP67 water and dust resistant. And yes, this is another big feature for the iPhone, since this is the first iPhone to offer this, just like other smartphones have introduced in the past. One of the main things for me that I'm excited about is the camera. It uses a 12 megapixel f1.8 aperture 6-element lens which allows a lot more light. Both the 7 and the 7 Plus include optical image stabilization, and the sensor is 60% quicker. The flash now has 4 separate LEDs for true tone flash, allowing there to be up to 50% more light for those nighttime shots. On the front we have a 7 megapixel FaceTime HD camera to make sure your face looks even sharper than ever when you're on those all important video calls and taking selfies. However, the big guns for the camera were of course saved for the 7 Plus. The Plus now includes 2 cameras, both running at 12 megapixels. One is a wide-angle lens and the other is a telephoto lens. So this now allows for the iPhone to essentially have an optical zoom. What we're used to seeing on the iPhone is obviously the wide-angle lens and not the telephoto lens. Rather than being digital, the images will not be distorted when zooming in using the telephoto lens, and the quality will be seriously good. I love how they managed to work in sync to achieve this, and I imagine Apple will manage to do this flawlessly, unlike other manufacturers who have previously implemented 2 cameras and other features which didn't exactly succeed so well. Apple just seemed to have that way of refining certain technology, and I would be surprised if the features included were bad and didn't work properly. Another new feature that will be included on the 7 Plus is shallow depth of field. This is often used in DSLRs where the front object is in sharp focus and the background is blurred. Well, now the iPhone has this, and honestly I think this is fantastic. Along with the optical zoom and having depth of field, this will be so incredibly useful for photographers and videographers like myself, and it will certainly be a nice side companion when out and about taking photos, or even if you've left your camera behind and want to get that nice shot. It will definitely allow a lot more room for creativity, which is essentially what makes a photographer. It's also able to calculate the depth of field in real time, which is pretty impressive. From the example shown, it looks like it manages to do this really well. The screen has been made 25% brighter than the 6S and uses wide colour gamut. This is Cinema P3 standard colours, so the colour range will be larger and visually more pleasing, deeper, richer and more accurate colours. I am however disappointed to see that it seems like still no 1080p display on the standard 4.7 inch variant, and instead we still have 720p. Now I know that 720p is obviously perfectly usable and can be lovely to use, however 1080p is essentially a standard, and I think now is the right time to implement a high resolution for the base model iPhone. If you're wondering, the Plus still has the same resolution of 1920 by 1080. For the audio side of things, there is now dual speakers on the iPhone which allows for twice the volume, so this will be great if you like to game on the go, listen to music or watch TV shows without headphones. I'm sure MKBHD will be very happy. Unfortunately, on the audio front though, the 3.5mm headphone jack has now been removed as expected. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I understand that it takes up a large amount of space, allows for water to enter, and it is an old technology that has been around for about 140 years. However, it is used in almost everything: cars, stereos, headphones, etc. And I'm not really sure if now was the right time to kick it to the curb. It also introduces new problems such as having to fork out for expensive headphones and not being able to charge whilst listening to music. Apple tried to resolve one of these by including a lightning to 3.5mm headphone adapter in the box, but I still think this is pretty fiddly and cumbersome, and in most cases you're going to forget to bring it, or even worse, lose it. I do agree that I think someone needs to take this step, because in theory audio should be better and it does take up less space. And if I'm honest, Apple is probably the best advocate to go ahead and remove this, because it's sure as hell that in the future other manufacturers will follow suit and will start to remove their 3.5mm headphone jack also. I think it would have been better if Apple actually ditched the lightning port and went ahead with the USB-C port instead, which is far more universal and would have been better suited for audio, rather than having an exclusive audio port for the iPhone. But hey, I guess that's the Apple ecosystem, right? Apple have now also made wireless earphones, which they like to call AirPods, but I feel like they are too expensive and can be easily lost. I think an add-on like a neck wire or a strong light or an onboard speaker would have been really useful in case they fell out and got lost, but alas, it's not included. For processing power, the iPhone 7 will have an A10 Fusion processor, which is a 64-bit quad-core CPU. Just like other smartphones are running 4 cores and more, it will be using 2 cores which are less powerful to do the small, less demanding tasks on the more power efficient cores. This is to help conserve battery. It will switch between cores depending on the tasks at hand. The battery life has also been improved, and it is expected to last around 2 hours longer than the iPhone 6s. And storage wise, the iPhone will now come with 32GB, 128GB and 256GB. Overall, I think the iPhone 7 is a pretty good release with some really nice features and looks. However, it does have a few downfalls, and it's a shame that some of the best features are included on the 7 Plus rather than just the 7, as some people won't want to have that massive size, and I think they could have removed the protruding lens by making the phone slightly thicker whilst including a larger battery, and I really don't think people would have minded about this at all, but maybe they'll be saving that for the iPhone 8, who knows. Personally, I'll be holding out, as I'm still completely content with my 6, and I don't want to give up the 3.5mm headphone jack just yet. Let me know what you guys think of the new release in the comments below. Whether you like it or hate it, go ahead and drop a comment. Hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for watching. For more tech related content each week, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you around soon. This has been Ray J.